Hello, hello, and welcome. Can y'all hear me? I think I'm live. I'm never really sure until y'all confirm that I'm live. Well, I just got my own notification, so I guess I am live. Well, I want to thank each and every one of you for coming back and giving me another try. I know that things did not end on the best note last week, and I am ever so regretful that my being a tech dummy, sadly enough, ended at a really inopportune moment. And so, for that reason, I do want to apologize to my friend Winksy Purple Winks, who was in the midst of sharing, and I hope that she will accept my apology and that we can pick up where we left off. But before we do that, I want to say hi to a few people. Hi to Virginia. Hi to the Bud Files. I've already been chatting with Canadian girl Renee and Purple Winks. Hi to my friend, my long time friend, Maria Garcia. I want to already say hello and thank you to my mods, Triple S Mercantile, Amy Who's Your Diver, and Karen McCarty. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I think Danielle popped in for a little while. Although I got a notification that another channel that she works for modding is live, so she may be at their channel instead. It's hard when you mod for a bunch of channels. Hi there, Crochet Queen Kathy. Thank you so much for finding time to join us tonight. Well, Renee, if you have time to do that, I'm not sure how to do it during the live, but I can go in after the live and give you a wrench and you'll have it for next week. I just didn't know if you were going to be working at this time frame or if you had time. But if you have time, I would love for you to be a mod in coming weeks, and I'll put you in touch with my mod squad. Hi there, Christina Lewis. Thank you for finding time to join us. And I see we have Galen. I believe Galen is a first-time viewer. Thank you so much. How is everybody doing tonight? I hope you are well. And I have to tell you on a personal note, I hope that your weather is fine, but I feel like I have lost winter. You know, we don't get too much winter down in New Orleans, and we had 2 glorious days where it got down into the 50s. I was actually able to get out my long sleeve clothing. I wore them for 2 whole days, and so if y'all came to some of my auctions, you probably saw a little whiff of cuff around my wrist. But alas, we're back into the 70s. Next week it is forecasted to be in the 70s all week long. So we've lost winter, but it was 2 glorious days. You'd think that we'd have more than 2 days in January or more than 2 days in winter total, but you take what you can get. Hi there, Tabora Ohano. Thank you so much for coming. Oh, Kathy, I can just imagine you sitting there sewing your mittens. I absolutely can imagine you doing that crafting. Well, y'all must be having some different temperatures up on the North Shore than we are down on the South Shore. In case y'all don't know, Mandeville is a town in Louisiana. Some people think of it a little bit like New Orleans, but when we say North Shore, we mean on the North Shore of Lake Pontchartrain. So it's actually about an hour drive on this really mega long road called the Causeway. And you have to have a cause to drive that long to get up there. That's the running joke around here. Hello, Duchess. Thank you so much for coming back. I once again want to apologize to everybody that came last week, and the broadcast ended accidentally at an inopportune time, thanks to my being a tech dummy. So I also want to thank all of you that subscribed so that you could participate in the chat. I'm so sorry if you had to wait the 5 minutes if you weren't already subscribed, but thank you so much for hanging in there. Hi there, Angel. If anybody doesn't know, Angel is my bestie who has an auction on Saturday mornings, and I am so privileged to get to sell on her auction. And we have such a fun time. Although Mondays are always a busy day for us getting things packed up and invoiced, although she may have taken today off because the post offices were closed. Hi, Brenda. If you would, please do me the favor of going ahead and clicking the thumbs up. I can't wait to see who wants to have a heart-to-heart with Belle tonight. Now, I did receive some constructive criticism based on all that happened last week. And, you know, life is a learning process. And when we know better, we do better. And one of the many criticisms, constructive criticisms, that I received last week is somebody said, you know, I waited 8 minutes in order for you to stop talking and get to the first person. You know, if I'd had to wait 1 more minute, I was going to click off and give up. And I thought, oh no, I didn't realize people were actively waiting. I was just talking away, waiting for somebody to want to share, trying to, you know, kind of fill the stall time. So I have no way of like psychically knowing when y'all are ready to share, who wants to have a heart-to-heart tonight, what y'all want to talk about, what you want to share. But I absolutely want to be that listening ear, want to be that compassionate soul that listens, that shares your burdens, that prays for you if that's something that would help you, and helps you find some haven and refuge and a community to support you with whatever you're going through, because life is hard and life is lonely. I think that's what we learned last week with the first person who shared. Is I always thought life was lonely just when you're single, or I thought life was lonely when you live alone, or I thought life is lonely when you lose both of your parents. I didn't know until y'all started sharing that life can even be lonely when you're happily married, that life can even be lonely when you have a family or still have a family. So I have to tell y'all, I am learning things from y'all, and I'm finding inspiration in what y'all say and encouragement in what y'all say. And it's not necessarily just y'all comforting me, but y'all in helping to comfort each other. But I'm looking forward to seeing what y'all want to talk about, what y'all are going through and dealing with, so that we can support and help each other. Hi, Sally. Thank you so much for coming, sweetheart. I appreciate you. So I hope y'all didn't mind me turning on the subscriber mode tonight. Oh, hi, Blue Ann. Just so it would help to keep out the trolls. And I had such a hard time keeping up with the chat when it was just flying that I hope you don't mind me turning on the lowest setting of the slow mode so that I could keep up with chat, at least until I get better. Because, you know, there's a learning curve, and I'm trying to figure this out better as I go along. Hi, Tabara Ohana. For those of y'all who may not know, Tabara is the person who started the hashtag EIM movement, which stands for encourage, inspire, and motivate. And I hope that my show can help in those 3 ways, because couldn't we all use some encouragement? Couldn't we all use some inspiration, and couldn't we all use some motivation? Because life is hard. It is so easy to get down about ourselves, get down about the world, get down about hopes and dreams or accomplishments, because we live in this land of social media. We live in this land where people are posting all the time or bragging all the time. And more so than any generation ever, there's the impulse to keep up with the Joneses because we see these beautiful photographs of families and grandkids and houses and vacations and boats and cars and all of the stuff until we get to the point, hi Cindy, where we realize that we can just be our own best selves. Trying to compete with others is never going to be something that you can win. So sometimes you need to take the wins that you can get, and competing with the possessions of others is never going to be something that you can win at, because there will always be somebody with more money. There'll always be somebody who's more willing to spend the money, and there'll always be new possessions to acquire. Well, I see that we have the first heart-to-heart topic for tonight, and it's about being a caregiver for a parent. Boy, I can relate to that. For those of you who don't know me, I was the primary caregiver for both of my parents for years and years and years until God finally called them home, and I still daily miss them. How many of y'all are a caregiver, whether for a parent, whether for a child? Maybe you have a sibling who might need care either because of a physical reason, a mental reason. How many caregivers do we have in the chat? And then it looks like the second heart-to-heart is going to be about gift ideas for an 8-year-old boy who is severely autistic. So Maude, you'll help to remind me that that one will be next. And, you know, it might be that our caregiving heart-to-heart even goes into caring for autistic people. Some autistic people do need a caregiver. Others are more functional. Some are communicative. Some are not. Now, Triple S is saying, as a caregiver of a parent, that it's a struggle and very lonely. And can anybody relate to the isolation of having to sit by a bedside every day, day in and day out, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year? I can absolutely, positively relate to that. That was my life for so many years. And for those of you who don't know me, that's actually how I first started watching YouTube and then joined the YouTube so that I could chat, is because I had all of this time while I was watching somebody sleep, while I was watching somebody not sleep but try to sleep, while I was trying to run around and do all the cooking and cleaning and meals while still checking on them. So can any of y'all relate to that? Because being a caregiver is like a 24-hour, 7-day a week. Hi, Joni. Hi, Lee. And it's one of those jobs where, unless you're a professional and you're getting a paycheck, it's a job you didn't ask for. It's a job you didn't want. And as Triple S is saying, it's a job you can't decline. Because in my life, my sister was actually asked first because she was local, and I was living in another state at the time. But once she had said no, when you are a two-child, when there are only 2 children in your family, you basically can't decline because then they would have 2 declines. Oh no, Angel said, I had someone say I wasn't doing enough for my mom. So that is the problem. is there is always somebody who is outside of the realm, John Jacob, who is always second guessing, saying you're not doing enough, you're not doing it right. Even with parenting, I hear that where people are saying, you're not being good enough parent, or you're not parenting right, you're not disciplining right, you're not feeding the kids right. Triple S is sharing that she's the youngest and she's the glue. So it looks like all of the responsibility must have fallen on her. And she was the reliable person who was willing to do what was needed. And Purple Wings, I see, is saying that she had siblings, but they just didn't step up to the plate and do the caregiving. Cindy, so sorry that you've also lost both of your parents. I can totally relate to that. Amy's sharing that she is the only child, so she'll have all of the responsibility when it comes that time in her family. That she is an only child and that she's already having to help her mother out when she can. Okay, thanks for coming, Lee. I appreciate it. I know it's near your bedtime, sweetheart, but I appreciate you coming and thank your parents for letting you stay up, sweetie. Everybody say bye to Lee and thank him for getting to come. And he's a young YouTuber, so if you want trying to live out a dream, having their own YouTube channel. Lee has his own YouTube channel, and I believe it's about. Now, CM is sharing on this topic that she took care of her late husband for 10 years. Oh, did not know that, CM. That must have been so hard. I'm sure it must have been frustrating for him to forget details, forget you. I can only say that I've seen The Notebook, but I am sure that is the most idealized version, and it had to have been way harder and way more painful than that movie depicts. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's Liege. Am I saying it right now? Liege? My apologies if I'm saying it wrong, sweetheart. Oh, Cindy, my heart goes out to you. Cindy's saying that she is the oldest of 4, and she's lucky to get one call from family. Can anybody relate to that, where they are blessed with siblings who are even still alive, and yet for one reason or another, you're not able to have the relationship you want or have the communication you want? That might be a good topic for a heart-to-heart as well. Hi, Phyllis. Thank you for joining us tonight. I see Purple Wings is saying that she's been a caregiver for other people that she got paid for, but it's still hard. I'm sure that there still must be an emotional burden, even if you're, cashing a paycheck, because there's a certain emotional bond when you caregive for a certain length of time. Joni, sure, you can ask why my parents died. It was not the reason you're probably thinking, even though they did die during the pandemic. My dad had stage 4 COPD. And so it was one of those things where even before the pandemic and the quarantine started, he was already in a palliative care situation. And that was his cause of death. And my mother had heart problems. Her mother, her infant brother, both died of heart failure. And so my mother passed away 30 days after my dad because of heart failure. So my dad was respiratory distress and my mother was heart failure. Neither one had anything to do with that pandemic situation. And just so y'all know, we're not going to talk about the pandemic situation or what you call that. Um, Mods are instructed to delete any of those kind of words. Um, and just to let you know, too, when we talk about medical issues, I am not a doctor. I do not give medical advice, doctors or medicines for legal reasons. This is just a way to give support to each other. But Joni, I don't mind you asking that hard question at all. I'm glad to share those kind of personal details because there might be somebody in the chat who has somebody dealing with COPD, oxygen every minute of the day, like my dad was, or who is in heart failure, like my mother was. So sometimes we can find common bonds even in our heartbreaks. Thank you so much, CM. And once again, Sam, I am so sorry for the loss of your late husband last year. Is anybody else in the grieving process? I see that Joni D is saying that her mom had both heart and lung problems, so she can relate. Thank you so much. And Angel is saying that her mother passed away also. And Angel, my heart goes out to you. I think that's one of the things that has bonded Angel and I is both of us losing our moms and losing them in very close proximity to each other. So we're kind of probably at a similar place in our grief. Oh, thank you for reminding me, Triple S. Gift ideas for a boy with autism. She's recommending sensory toys like the fidgets. Anybody else? Oh, thank you so much, Cindy. Cindy's saying that she lost her dad to Parkinson's, that she also lost both of her parents, one to cancer and one to pneumonia. Oh, and she was only in her late 20s. To one of them. Well, I am so glad you have this community to uphold and support and encourage you because we can be like brothers and Renee is saying that she lost both her grandma and grandpa. I'm so sorry for your loss. So many of you can understand the grieving process. Well, Joni, we can discuss whatever y'all want to discuss. We're here to have heart-to-hearts. Does anybody else have any heart-to-heart suggestions for kind, caring, and thoughtful gifts for an autistic boy of 8 years old? I think that's the heart-to-heart we're on now. Going back to the caregiving heart-to-heart, Christina is sharing that her daddy is in the final stages of dementia now. Oh, prayers for you, Christina. My heart goes out. I can't imagine how hard that is that you're dealing with now. Maybe CM can relate since she said her late husband was going through dementia towards the end. Renee's saying that she lost her dog, and losing a fur baby is hard too. It absolutely is hard. Fur babies are like members of your family, and for some people, they spend more time with their fur babies than with their actual family. And Karen is saying that that it's harder now that she's losing more of her friends. I saw somebody in a chat in a different live today, and they were naming all the celebrities that passed away this week or this month. And it was such a long list. I was really surprised. And then I started thinking about how there's just more celebrities around to lose. 50 years ago, there was only a handful of celebrities. And so now that there's so many, it seems like they are passing away more rapidly. And so when Karen confides to us that she's losing more of her friends now that she's in her 60s, I could see how that might be the case. Can anybody else relate? I'm not asking people to tell their age, but maybe somebody else might be in the same bracket of life or the same decade of life. I'm sure there are probably people in lots of different decades of life, and I'm not trying to embarrass anybody. I see that Cindy is comforting Christina, saying that her dad also had dementia. I love when y'all are able to relate to each other and to comfort each other. And it's so great that your sister's able to take care of your dad. What a blessing that he has her. Blue Ann is also saying that her mom has dementia, or her mom is in a dementia care facility. And so she can relate too. It's amazing how when one of us shares a concern, how God provides other people in the same chat to go through the same thing, to be in a similar situation so that y'all can comfort and encourage each other. I see that Cindy's saying she lost her sweet dog Casper last year when she got hit by a car. Oh, Cindy, I am so, so, so very sorry. I'm guessing that Renee can relate after Renee talking about losing her fur baby. Amy's saying that her mom has Alzheimer's, is in a memory care facility as well, and doesn't remember her. Do y'all think it's harder to be the person who doesn't remember others? Do you think it's harder to have the memory but see others not remember you? It seems like both must be hard in their own way. Oh, and Sam is just what I was wondering. She's saying how hard it is when your mom doesn't know you anymore. And Triple S is saying it is very hard being the memory keeper. That is such a great term, memory keeper. Because even when our loved ones pass on, still we live as memory keepers of their memory, whether it's to future generations or even when there aren't future generations, to the world, to their friends. And big cyber hugs to everybody who is sharing, everybody who is going through this in the chat. Danielle is always so great with reminding us about hugs and cyber hugs. Angel does that a lot on the Scrap Dog show too, and I just enjoy that so much. It is such a comfort. Oh, Phyllis, I didn't know you never married. You are so blessed to have a wonderful daughter like Renee. Karen says, I think it's hard in both ways to see someone searching for their memory that won't come. And Winksy saying that she took care of her grandmother 30 years ago. And then her uncle put her in a care facility until she passed away. Sometimes that is the most humane thing because not everybody has skills to take care of a loved one depending on how difficult their medical condition is. And Christine is saying that her dad gets frustrated with himself. I cannot imagine the frustration. I think about the mere frustration I have with tech stuff, and I cannot imagine if everything had that level of frustration. It must be overwhelming. And hugs can do wonders. Y'all are given such great. And CM, it looks like it's counting her blessings, which is a great component to add to the show, where she's saying how what a blessing it was that her husband knew her until the last 6 days of his life. What a blessing. I am sure so many of these other people who have loved ones dealing with dementia wish that they had had that blessing. And for any of you who are needing to talk more than just the short time that this heart to heart show is on, the mods are dropping the Discord link. Discord is a place where you can friend people and talk back and forth, where you can post, where you can group chat, where you can group voice chat, where you can group video chat. It's really a place that is great support. So if anyone else has other heart-to-heart topics that you'd like to discuss, whether they're a general topic for everybody, or if you have a particular heart-to-heart that you'd like to have with me, or even if you just have something you'd like for me to pray about, I am more than glad to pray for anybody or with anybody, because I want this to be a place of support, of encouragement, of inspiration, where we can be that soft place to fall when it's okay not to have everything fine in your life. It's okay to give bad news. I know when you're in other lives, if it's a busy auction, it's not the place to give bad news. Or if it's a birthday celebration, a subscriber celebration, there's a right time and place for everything. But I could never find the right place when I had bad news to give, even and including the death of my parents. So that's why I wanted to create this right time and right place where we could find support in each other, where it's okay that we don't have a good day, where it's okay if our life is not going as great as other people's, as great as we want it to, where we can bear our burdens one to another, like Galatians 6:2 talks about. Danielle is giving a great idea, saying that, oh, and by the way, I should say that Danielle has her own YouTube channel, and she's a married wife and mom. And she says that one way that she keeps her loved ones' memories alive is making an in loving memory a video of them. And if any of y'all have gone to Danielle's channel, you'll see that she has wonderful family videos. She has EMI, encouragement, inspiration, motivation videos. And she is so good at editing and adding sound and music. They are works to behold. And Christina is sharing that someone made a video and it was played at a funeral. Oh, and Purple Wings is telling Karen that if she hadn't been introduced to YouTube, she would have been so lonely. And I absolutely say that too. It was one of my redeeming graces when I spent 5 long years taking care of my parents, sitting beside a bedside every day, all day. The time before I realized YouTube existed seemed so long. And in comparison, once I found YouTube, it really became a great way of being social without leaving the house. I'm so glad that many of you are also pleased with the YouTube experience. I don't speak for YouTube, even though I'm on YouTube, but I have great appreciation for it. Hi, Lynn and Victor. For those of y'all who don't know, Lynn and Victor are all the way in Australia. So I'm guessing it's probably already tomorrow for them. Thank you so much, even if you can't stay too long, for just popping in the chat to let me know that I was important enough and valuable enough that you made time to come into the chat, even just to say hi and click the thumbs up. So such a blessing. I truly value your friendship, Lynn. Oh no! Angel in Pink Camo is saying Lisa D. For those of you who may not know Lisa D, she is a subscriber of the Angel in Pink Camo and a regular viewer and bidder at her auction. So prayers going up to Lisa D. We'll just have to put this in the hands of God. You know, God is in control. He knows what needs to happen. So, and I believe that there are no coincidences, that everything happens for a reason in God's almighty plan. Oh, thank you so much, Lynn and Victor. I really appreciate your help, and I appreciate you finding even just the fewest of minutes that my show is worthy of you taking the time to come. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Cyber hugs to you. Angel, thank you for giving us the news so we can all add Lisa D's daughter, who I believe is only 16, to our prayer list. Well, is there anybody else who wants to have a heart-to-heart tonight? Or another heart-to-heart topic that everybody together as a group would like to discuss? Or if you're in the chat and you just want somebody to pray with you, I'm glad to do that as well. I know not necessarily everybody might be the praying type, but I am. And I know sometimes when life is hard, when you're struggling with something, even if you're not a person who regularly prays, sometimes having somebody else who does just helps to fill that void, that loneliness, that hole, to remind you that you're not alone, that others care, and that God always cares, no matter who we are, no matter what we've done, no matter even if we're not paying attention to him. Oh, thank you so much for your faith that this show will work out. And thanks for agreeing that it's needed. I want to thank everybody who took the time to click the thumbs up. I know sometimes people are just in the mood for a feel-good show or something that's fun, something that's frivolous, just to take their mind off of things. But I thank y'all so much that instead of just picking a show where you could sit back and laugh, you picked a show where you could connect heart to heart with other people, where you could comfort each other, where you could share the burdens of other people, as well as having others share your burdens. Okay, Lynn. Well, since I now know that you would like some prayers, then I will go ahead and pray for you. Do you want to tell us why it's the second hardest day so that I can pray with specificity? Or would you rather keep that private and I will just pray for you generically? If you want to share why it's the second hardest day, we would all love to listen. But I don't want to be in your business. If you want to keep that private, then I will totally understand your need for privacy, but I want to give you a chance to share if you want to share. Oh, Cindy, that is a great coping skill to do the adult coloring. I offer a lot of those coloring books when I do auction, and it's one of those things that's always popular. Well, I don't see Lynn and Victor telling us why it's the second hardest day. So I'm just going to go ahead and pray. There's a possibility that she's typing it out and it just hasn't posted yet. But for those of you who are people of faith, please join with me together as we pray. Oh, it says, my daughter Nadine was 38 today, and she hasn't spoken to me for 10 long years, and it breaks my heart. Okay, I can understand now. All right. Thank you so much for sharing, Lynn. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, I love you, and I bring before you Lynn and Victor. Heavenly Father, I know sometimes it is so hard when we don't get what we want, when we have to let other people make their own free will choices, when they choose things that we don't want, when they choose things that hurt us, that separate us from them, that separate us from each other, even when it separates their relationship from you. Heavenly Father, I ask you to repair the relationship between Lynn and her daughter Nadine. And I ask you to work in the mind and heart and soul of Nadine. I ask you also to work in the mind and soul and heart of Lynn, to give her some comfort as she waits, because I cannot imagine how hard and heartbreaking the wait must be. Every day hoping that that will be the miracle day that she decides to talk to them again, to reconnect to them again, to let bygones be bygones, or to even still be upset, but just start communicating anyway. Heavenly Father, I ask that you would start to give her a peace about this, that even if Nadine doesn't talk to her again, that she will know that she is doing what she can, that you will give her new ideas of ways to reach out to Nadine, ways to let Nadine know that she still loves Nadine, even if she doesn't talk to her again, even if she doesn't set eyes upon her, that you can't change other people, you can only change yourself, and to help soothe her worries and anxieties about what might be going on in the life of Nadine, and to know that we can't convince other people to do what we want to do, whether it's to accept our love, whether it's to discontinue addictions, whether it's to take good care of themselves, whether it's to get medical treatment. We just can't make decisions for other people. And to help us learn to have a peace with the things that we can't change. Heavenly Father, it's in your blessed and holy name that I pray all of these prayers for Lynn and Victor and Nadine. Amen. Welcome, Matrix. Thank you so much for joining. And everybody, y'all give some big hugs to Lynn and Victor. If I missed any of the chat, mods, y'all help me to recycle what I missed while my eyes were closed praying. And even though my prayer was for Lynn and Victor, I noticed several of y'all in the chat earlier said you had family members who were estranged, family members who you hadn't spoken to in a while, or you speak to maybe once per year. Please know that the prayer I prayed is for y'all as well. because I've learned from personal experience that you can't make people communicate. You can't make people love you. You can't make people care about you. You can't make people answer your emails or your Discord messages. But you have to be the one to keep on keeping on. You have to be the peacemaker. You have to be the one to restore communication. You can't just wait for somebody else to do it. Now, being an old-fashioned Southern belle, that's a little tough because down south, women don't call men. So if a guy doesn't call you again, well, you're kind of stuck. But that's more or less a rule within the dating realm. So one of the things I like about email and about Discord is men and women can kind of evenly message each other because message isn't really the same thing as call. Now, I believe we had another heart-to-heart topic that came up. Maj, y'all remind me what it was. Oh, dealing with chronic pain. Is there anybody in the chat who is in chronic pain? I have to admit that I don't personally know chronic pain, but perhaps if there is somebody who is in chronic pain, you can tell me what chronic pain is like. If it's an all over thing, if it's just in, your elbow or your foot or one particular spot, y'all might have to educate me in this because, oh, thank you so much, CM. Because I don't know about every topic. I happen to be a healthy person in middle life, so I don't quite know exactly what's meant by the term chronic pain, but perhaps if there is somebody dealing with that, y'all can inform me, and perhaps there might be some support for people who might be in chronic pain. Thank you so much, Matrix, praying for me to have a good day. I have to say, it is a much better day now that I am online with y'all and have all of this support. So I'm blessed to have, 24 in the chat and 38 thumbs up. I have to tell you, one of my big fears was when I started the show, wondering, will anybody show up? Will anybody stay? Will it be important to anybody? Now, Karen says, for me, it's like having a bad case of the flu. The body aches every day. And Ann Blue Ann is saying that there's many types of chronic pain. Okay, I didn't know that. Now, does just a headache count as chronic pain? Or does just arthritis count as chronic pain? Forgive me, but I don't quite know what constitutes chronic pain. Thank you for the heart, EIM Daily. I appreciate that. A heart for Heart to Heart with Belle. That's very appropriate. That's one emoji I like to see at this show. Danielle is saying, there's been some division between my husband and certain family members, and it's hard being stuck in the middle. Prayers for reconciliation. Okay, well, I'm going to stop right now since Danielle has asked for prayers of reconciliation. Triple S, after the prayer, remind me where I am. Copy and paste the last comment so I can start back there. Heavenly Father, right now, I pray for Danielle and her husband, Chris. Father, I pray that you would send a spirit of reconciliation to Danielle, to Chris, to the family members, that you would help them forgive and forget what has happened, that you would give them a peace, that you would give them an understanding, that you would help them to not sweat the small stuff, that you would help them to find more things they have in common than things that they have different, that you would give them an understanding and heart for the feelings of other people. that you would find ways to bring them together. You'd find reasons for them to reunite, reasons to get together, reasons to spend time together, and that you would give them some common understanding, common things to talk about, and feelings of wanting to reconcile. Because I know, Father, that the hardest part is people wanting and deciding, and you can't make others do what you want to do. And sometimes waiting on the other people, just like waiting on answers from God, waiting can be the hardest part, which is why one of the fruits of the spirits is patience, as well as self-control. Father, I pray that you would wrap your loving arms around Danielle and her husband, Chris, and whatever family members that have hurt feelings or are emotionally distant or are non-communicative, so that they can have a better relationship, have a restored relationship, or just start with a fresh relationship. It's in your name I pray. Amen. Thank you so much for the hearts. Thank you, thank you, thank you, mods. And ballerinas and ballerinos. Now, let's see where we were. I think our current heart-to-heart was about chronic pain. I'm so sorry that I deviated, but being a Christian, I feel like prayer is one of those things that is of the utmost urgency. So when somebody asks for prayer, and I probably should have alerted my mods to this, I will always stop and pray for whoever asks for prayer, and then get back to whatever heart-to-heart we were talking about. Although mods, I will always need some help getting back to whatever the last comment was. I think it had something to do with explaining chronic pain to me, because so often when you haven't been through something, it takes somebody explaining it to you or giving you examples to understand. So y'all forgive me if I don't always know what you're going through, but I want to know, and I care, and I'm interested. And thank you so much for the hearts. Thank y'all for wanting to be heart to heart with Belle and to go heart to heart with each other. So just to have the luxury of providing a place where it can be this kind of community, full of ballerinas and ballerinos, where we can share, even when it's hard, even when it's embarrassing, and it be a place where we're not judged, but we help and support, we encourage, and we even inspire others with ways to help, like we did with Angel and gift ideas for her 8-year-old autistic nephew, or we motivate to help people restore their relationships with loved ones who are still alive. I see Renee is sharing, talking about chronic pain, that she has pain in her back. And I am so sorry for your back pain. Now, how often does pain have to occur for it to be chronic? Is it every day or multiple times a day? Oh, hi, Big Shady. Well, look at all of this Team Ohana flowing in. I think we're having a raid from the big and powerful Team Ohana. Thank you, thank you, thank you for coming in. I really appreciate that. And thank you, everybody who is trying to help me get to 800. And Renee is sharing, talking about her back pain some more, that she goes to a chiropractor regularly. Now, I absolutely don't give medical advice, but it is a fact that chiropractors have 2 years of education. They're not actual doctors. That's not me giving an opinion. That's a literal fact. So Just want to make sure you are aware of that the chiropractor isn't an actual doctor. The chiropractors have 2 years medical training. But if it works for you, you are in charge of your own medical situation. Karen is saying it's chronic when it gets old. Does that mean some of y'all have chronic marriages? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Sorry. I shouldn't make jokes on a heart-to-heart show. My apologies. Now, Triple S is sharing, I have spina bifida. I had no idea about that. And changing my mom often makes my back hurt. Wow, that is so vulnerable of you to share. I have to tell you, I had a problem when changing my mother as well with my back. She was not a heavy woman. She was very thin, but yet still trying to move somebody to take them to the bathroom, or when they're in bed, trying to roll and get devices underneath them and change them is physically grueling. I am so glad you found somebody who you feel like is good and you feel like is helpful. Oh, Big Shady, thank you so much for sharing me out. Hopefully we'll have even more people in my next Monday night show, or perhaps I will expand to some additional shows. I've been debating with the mods whether one show is enough. That maybe perhaps, since I'm having a show which where we're bearing burdens, where we're telling things that are hard and hurting, if maybe I should balance it out with a fun show each week. So we had a heavy, serious show on Monday, and then maybe we had a fun show later in the week or during the weekend. What do y'all think? Oh, Renee is making me feel so much better, saying that in Canada, they have to train for 7 years. Oh, because the laws are different. That makes me feel so much better, Renee, so much better. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But let me take this heart-to-heart time to ask for your opinion. So can y'all have a heart-to-heart with me? Can I be the one who's giving where y'all give me the heart-to-heart? Because I've been thinking, and I've mentioned to the mods, that if people are willing to come to my channel at all for a live, if it might be good to balance out a very serious, heavy time like we have here on Mondays with something that was fun. And Big Shady saying quiz show, that's funny because the idea I had was for a game show, and I picked out a particular game, and I would just pick people from the audience to play. Would y'all be interested in coming a second time per week to my channel, but having the second time be just a fun kickback, laugh, make jokes, and it'd be a social time just for fun? Well, Renee is suggesting trivia. Well, let me tell you what my idea is. Now, I know normally I record these pitches and then y'all can talk about it in the comments, but since I have y'all here, would it be okay if I explain kind of sort of what I was thinking for this maybe possibly idea for another show? Well, Big Shady, it wouldn't be a duck race. Since Big Shady seems interested, Big Shady is new to my channel, I'll tell you the idea, and then after my heart-to-heart, one of y'all will get a chance to have a heart-to-heart, I promise. So here's the idea. I was thinking of doing a game called Last Word. Have y'all ever heard Last Word? It's pretty simple. One by one, I'd have one guest at a time, and you would come on and you'd pick a topic. You would pick a topic that you know tons about. Not one that I know tons about, but you would know tons about. That way, it's always going to be in favor of the guest. And then once you pick the topic, we will take turns going back and forth naming items in the topic. So for instance, say I'll use Angel as an example. Angel doesn't know I'm going to use her as an example. If I put out the link and Angel clicked the link and said, yeah, I want to play last word, maybe she chose the topic condiments. So she would say mustard. Then I would say ketchup. She would say mayonnaise. I would say horseradish. And it would go back and forth until either one of us couldn't think of any more, or one of us accidentally set a duplication where that's where the chat and the mods help, or one of us accidentally said a wrong answer. Like if we said vinegar, well, vinegar is a food, vinegar is a liquid, but vinegar is not a condiment. So whoever said vinegar would lose. So there's only 3 ways to lose in last word. It is when you can't think of any answer, when you duplicate an answer, or when you give a wrong answer. And the chat and the mods are there to let us know when you say a wrong answer. But the beauty of this game is you don't need a game board like you do for duck races. And it's nothing electronic, and anybody can play. It would just be a matter of being bold enough to click the link, and you wouldn't have to show your face. I would gladly accept avatars. But if you want to show your face and we can all see how pretty you are, that's fine too. And we just play a game, go back and forth with whatever topic you choose. So y'all can purposely choose some really hard topics like 16th century European architects, and we're going to get like 1 or 2. Or you could pick something super simple like colors, and we could be, naming colors for 20 minutes. So it will be so interesting to see who clicks the link to play, what topic you pick. So is anybody interested? Well, Angel, I had no idea that Frank says that. I was just trying to choose just a general example. I hope you didn't feel targeted. I was just using that as an example. Okay, apparently vinegar is a condiment, so I stand corrected. And that is exactly the point of having a chat and having mods, somebody to say, if the answer is correct or not correct. Because I'll tell you, from having played before on some long car rides, that sometimes when you can't come up with any answer, you'll just throw something out, not knowing if it's even right or wrong. Just trying. Because sometimes taking a guess is better than not saying anything at all. Oh, you do? Okay. So it sounds like Amy's up for playing. How many other people? If I were to start a game show on my channel, would be interested in either watching or playing or both. So if you're interested in watching, type watching in the chat. If you're interested in playing, type playing in the chat. And if you're interested in both, type both in the chat. And mods, y'all total up the number of people who say, and people who want to play. Let's make a list, and I will send them an email, try to get them signed up, and we'll see if we can schedule them or get them to come on. We'll make it happen. We just need to know who's interested in watching, who's interested in playing. And if it's enough people, then maybe my mods will give me the go-ahead, and we'll schedule it, and we'll let you know how soon we can get it up and running. Because in the land of YouTube, we need watch hours. So to get monetized, you have to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. And do y'all know how many subscribers I have? Not 1,000, but I'm more than halfway there. And do y'all know how many of the 4,000 watch hours I have? Not halfway there either. I've only got 1,000 of the 4,000 needed. So people keep saying, you need to have more lives. You need to have more lives. You could both help people, you could have fun, and you could get your watch time. 4K hours per year. Oh, you have to have 4,000 hours of watch time to get monetized. And to stay monetized, you have to have 4K per year. Well, Big Shady, what we would do is we would start playing the games and we'd just keep playing as long as different people wanted to play. And then when nobody else wanted to play, we would call it quits. So it's kind of like this show where we have heart to heart, as long as people want to share. And when people stop sharing, then we will call it quits and invite everybody back the next week and do it all over again. So I'll never know how long this show will last. I'll not know how long the game show will last. It'll just kind of depend how well it's going, and when people want to share here or when people want to play if it's a game show. Well, they do kind of make it hard, Karen, but I really think that it's hard for a reason. That way, people who are flighty, who aren't serious about it, um, don't get monetized. That it really should be something you work towards. And I think everything that you work hard for makes you value it more. Whether it's that part time job you have when you're a teenager, whether it's working so hard on that essay when you're in high school, whether it's getting into college, whether it's all of the term papers and that ultimate thesis you have to write in college. Things that come easily aren't always appreciated, but things that you work hard for, it's for. I see. Well, Shady, I'm glad you taught me that. And I will work hard when I finally get my watch hours to keep my watch hours. Thank you so much for letting me know that. CM, I have thought about showing my dumpster finds. Oh, hi, AMKT. But I'll tell you what my problem with that is. Because I use a webcam through my Wi Fi, I don't have a way to record the actual dumpster dives themselves. So I feel like if you're just showing things, that you need to actually show the dumpster dive because otherwise it could be stuff you already have. It could be something that you went out and bought. I just feel like you need the authenticity of actually showing the dumpster find. And so until I can actually show that, I feel like people might not necessarily believe or like there might be doubt, like it'd just be for show. And I don't want to do anything just for show. But hopefully at some point, I'm going to have some kind of camera or some kind of cell phone or something where I can record. I see that Wayne is saying that he has chronic pain in his knees until he had them replaced. But it sounds like he doesn't want to talk about it because he wants to get back to his Cowboys sports game. Well, I guess we can tell he's in Texas, or at least roots for the Texas Cowboys. Big Shady, I love dumpster dive videos too. If you could see my playlist, it is dumpster dive videos and auctions. Those are like the two things that I watch. Now, I have a couple bloggers and vloggers. Like, for instance, I love, why am I blanking on his name? Mr. Beast. His philanthropy channel just gives me the good vibes all the time. Talk about inspiring me and motivating me. Um, And I have absolutely thought about that, but to make a YouTube short, you have to have a cell phone. You can't technically make a YouTube with a webcam, which is all I have. Because otherwise, I would be making shorts every day. I'd be making them all day, every day, and putting out a whole bunch. Because I've heard that that's a great way to grow your channel. Well, if y'all love watching dumpster diving, I want to shout out my mod, Amy Hoosier Diver, who is a dumpster diver. And she even does live dives. And she's a lot of fun to watch. Oh, abandoned buildings. I haven't thought about that. I may have to look into that. So it looked like Wayne was bringing us back to the topic of chronic pain. Is there anybody else who wanted to share about chronic pain, or did y'all want to go on to the next heart to heart? When you say audit police stations, do you mean like with a scanner radio? Amy says, I even once literally put the dive into dumpster diving in the dumpster, not on purpose. Oh, I just need 3 more to get to 800. Well, thank y'all for keeping track of that for me. Well, I see that my numbers have gone down to 17. So let me see if there's anybody else that wants to have a heart to heart, or if y'all want to call this quits for tonight. Let me know in the chat if there's anybody else that wants to have a heart to heart, or are y'all getting sleepy? Well, I see Amy is woohooing. What are you woohooing about? Big Up Shady is agreeing. You do need a phone to film with. Well, Big Up Shady, I have to tell you, I have a landline, and my landline doesn't quite film squat. But it is a way to communicate when the internet's out. So, but I have to admit that I do most of my communicating through the Discord or through email. Because with Discord, you can just put your laptop beside you on the sofa or on your bed or next to your desk. You don't have to sit there and hold it like you do a phone. So I love so much that you can talk hands-free, just like you'd talk to a friend that was sitting, on the other end of the sofa or across the room. It just seems so much more normal and organic. Oh, good night, CM. Thank you so much for coming. I hope we can see you next week. Oh, thank you so much, MKT. If y'all don't know MKT, Mom Knows Treasures, she absolutely knows. And she is a mom, and she's a reseller, and she makes these fabulous videos about what sold. But her what sold videos are the opposite of mine, which means you'll probably like them more. My what sold videos are what sold at auction. So I show you the teeny tiny prices that I sold things for and how you missed out on bargains. Mom Knows Treasures does just the opposite. She shows you the teeny tiny prices she paid, and the amazing money she made flipping them, selling them online and on these platforms. You will be cheering and hipping and hollering when you see the way she is able to multiply these items. I mean, Jesus multiplied the loaves and the fishes. This woman can multiply the amazing things that she finds. So if you're looking for a source of inspiration of what you can do in the world of resale or motivation to get out there, pick up something for a few pennies and to see if you might can multiply it into dollars, tens of dollars, or hundreds of dollars. Yvonne, Mom Knows Treasures, is your channel to watch. Well, hey, you encourage me all of the time with the sweet comments you leave on my videos. So I am so glad to be able to repay the kindness. And at some point, perhaps you'll join us on Discord, because not only can you chat on Discord, but you can also post your videos to let more people be able to find you. You can post when you're live, when you are on a guest on a panel. So it can help you with publicity and promotion so that people here who are in our chat can find you. Because sometimes the best people on YouTube, we have a hard time finding until somebody we like recommends them, or until we see a post about them on Discord. I have found so many new channels that I like because somebody I trusted and respected posted about them on the Discord. And I'm like, I'll click that link and give them a watch. Well, I see we're back up to 26. And I thought y'all were getting sleepy and done for the night. Well, does anybody else want to have a heart-to-heart with Belle since we're still going? I'm ready for the next heart-to-heart if y'all are. Or if there's somebody else in the chat that needs prayer, I'm more than glad to say a little prayer for anybody if that's what you're looking for tonight. Or if there's somebody that wants to share, that wants some support. Maybe you've received some kind of bad news. Maybe you've had a heartbreak. And going into somebody's auction or birthday celebration or other YouTube, it's just not the right time and place. It is always the right time and the place here. You don't have to put on a happy face. You don't have to pretend like everything is okay. This is the place where we can wipe your tears, when we can encourage you, and when it is okay, because we all have burdens. We all have heartaches, and none of us are perfect. Yes, sir, Big Shady. Okay, I will stay away, but you need to keep coming here though, because you sounds like need a little dose of niceness, need a little respite from all of the drama, and this can be a haven for you to just have good vibes and encouragement and support and compassion. Hi, Kristen. Thank you so much for coming to Heart with Belle tonight. Hustle Q! Oh, thank you so much. It's so nice to have new people in the audience tonight. I was just trying to decide if we should do one more heart to heart, if anybody is interested, or we should call it a night. So y'all in the chat, I see we still have 18 people here. Thank you for your 55 thumbs up. Hopefully I'm getting close to 800 too. Let me know if anybody wants to have a heart-to-heart with Southern Belle tonight before it's too late, or if you want to bring up a heart-to-heart topic for group discussion, it's not too late. Oh, and one of the interesting things about Hustle Q, it's like we were talking about him before. Q, probably about 10 or 15 minutes ago, I was talking to the chat about, with this being such a heavy conversation, that we're bearing each other's burdens, asking if maybe I should do something later in the week to lighten it up, to kind of counterbalance something fun and frivolous, something with laughter and merriment and sociability. And everybody was trying to talk me into a game show. And so I shared one game show idea I had. And for those of you who don't know, Hustle Q on his channel, he's a reseller, but he also has fun game shows. He has races. He has all kinds of true and false questions. But you have to show your face there. On my game show, you can just use your avatar. I might have to try to message Q and try to twist his arm if I can get this game show idea together for him to be a guest on one of my shows. But y'all check out his game shows. Yes, I can absolutely tell the newbies what Heart to Heart with Southern Belle is. Great question. Heart to Heart with Southern Belle is meant to be a haven and a refuge from all of the hurts of the world, all of the things you can't say in other channels, you can't talk about in other channels. Oh, hi, Stats. Because we have this situation on YouTube where most of the lives have an agenda. And that's not a bad thing. When you go to an auction, you expect an auction. That's absolutely reasonable. And I'm on auctions twice a week. Or you go to a birthday celebration and you expect merriment and opening of packages and singing of happy birthday. Or when it's a subscriber milestone celebration, you also expect revelry. But I created this show because what do you do and where do you go when you have bad news? Eventually, sooner or later, everybody's going to have bad news, whether it's them getting sick, a loved one getting sick, a pet getting sick. Maybe that pet passes away or the loved one passes away. The boyfriend or girlfriend breaks up with them. They lose their job. They stub their toe. A hurricane hits their house or a tornado or an earthquake. Different things happen and we can't control that. But it's hard to go into one of those other lives, whether it's an auction, a game show, a celebration, and tell your bad news. It's just not the right time and place. So where is the right time and place? Well, I couldn't find it. And don't think I'm fussing at anybody who's ever come in and give bad news, because I have done it. I've done it when I wasn't feeling well. I've done it when my parents died. I've done it several times just because I didn't know the right time or place. But when I started my channel in September, the great thing about starting your channel is you can do what you want to do. And when you watch these YouTube gurus who tell you about starting your channel, building your channel, one of the things they say is look for a hole in the marketplace. Look for something that nobody else is doing. And I didn't see anybody else providing a place where you could share your bad news, where there was a place of compassion and comfort. And they also say solve a problem. So I thought that maybe this was also solving a problem, which is where do you give news, especially bad news? Because I had been in the chats of YouTube and moderating for several years when my parents died. So I couldn't just stop talking about my parents, because since I was a primary caregiver, people would say, oh, Belle, how's your parents? So I couldn't just ignore the question. I couldn't, pretend like they were still alive. I had to tell the honest truth, even though it was going to bring down the whole room. So that's why I wanted to create a place where you don't have to be happy all the time, where you can share your heartbreak, you can share your burdens, and other people will help to bear your burdens, just like it says in the Bible in Galatians 6:2. For those of y'all who don't know me, I'm a Christian. I'm a woman of faith. I believe in prayer, And I believe in seeking to encourage, inspire, and motivate, kind of like my moderator, Taburo Ahana, who started this hashtag EIM Daily movement. He talks a lot about encouraging, inspiring, and motivating, which is what EIM stands for. And so that's why I've started adding hashtag EIM Daily to this show and to some of my videos if I think the content of the video might inspire, encourage, or motivate. Because I am definitely participatory in that movement. In fact, it kind of reminds me of the Pay It Forward movement, except Pay It Forward was often a financial situation or was often about acts of service, whereas EIM Daily, encouragement is verbal, inspiration is you inspire an idea, and motivation, you inspire an action. So therefore, it covers so many more bases. And hopefully this show, Heart to Heart with Southern Belle, will also cover various bases, whether your heartbreak has to do with something physical, whether it has to do with something mental or emotional, whether it has to do something with a natural disaster or with the situation of your life. Thank you so much for those of y'all who are leaving the likes. And I love it when y'all tell me the number of your like too. That is so sweet and kind and caring and thoughtful. So who else wants to have a heart to heart with Belle tonight? This is your time. This is your moment. And you know, we're all different. If you look at this wreath that I have on the wall, one of the things I like about this is not hard, and it was meant to illustrate the name of the show. But you notice that the hearts are different. Some hearts have a little sparkle in the middle, but have a solid hard shell. Other ones are sparkly throughout. Some have a lighter core and a bolder, darker shell. It really showcases how we're all different. Some of us have a sparkly outside. Some of us have a hard core to protect us on the outside. Some of us have a soft center. Some sleeve. But we are all created by God. We're all loved by God. And I hope that this can be a place where we can all support and encourage each other, where we can bear one another's burdens with kindness, compassion, and care. Well, thank you, MKT. I have to tell you, it's not by chance here. About a week or two ago, I released a Buy It Now video, 30 minutes of Valentine's items that I was trying to sell. And sadly enough, I only had one person buy from the video. And it's one of those things that I could have let that get me down, that I spent all this time locating the items, laying them out, showing them in the video, talking about them, uploading it, publicizing it, to only get one sale. And then I later remembered that it is a learning experience, that it helps you to get better. And oddly enough, I showed a lot of these things at an auction over the weekend. And while this particular one didn't sell, I think because God meant for me to have it left over so that I could use it tonight. But it just showed that it's all about the right time in the right place. Because when I re-showed these items at a different auction and just boom, 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 sold out of the heart stickers and some clings and some crafty type items and doilies, that it was all about the right time in the right place. So once again, it was like God sending me a sign that this right place and right time is a real thing. It's both right time and right place to sell items. MKT, I'm sure you've realized this in your resale, that there are certain times of the year that certain items sell, or that some platforms are better than others. Right time, right place. And that too echoes the whole need for this show, so that it can be a place that we can share the heartbreaks and burdens, and where everything doesn't have to be okay all the time. And that even when it isn't okay, we will still care about each other and respect each other. Thank you, Team Ohana, for coming in and rating again. I appreciate that so much. I see we've dropped down to just 16 watching, so I'm going to ask one last time. Does anybody want to have a heart-to-heart with Belle? I'll give y'all another minute or two in case somebody else wants to. If not, then we will say our goodbyes until next week. But I don't want to close it out with new people coming in case there's somebody else that still wants to share, somebody else still in need of a heart-to-heart. Because I want y'all to always know that the floor is open, my ear is listening, but sometimes people need a little time to think it over or decide if some things are too private to share or if they're ready. So I don't ever want anybody to feel pressured, but I want you all to know that my door is open, my ear is listening, and my heart is open. And I want to thank my mods for doing such a great job. And so if there isn't anybody that wants to have a heart-to-heart, maybe next week you'll want to come back and you can think about what you want the heart-to-heart to be about, or perhaps it will be a group discussion. But until next week, I'll say, laissez bon temps rouler. Let the good times roll. Roll in your life, roll in your heart, roll in your soul, roll on and on and on. Stay tuned to my videos throughout the week, and stay tuned for an announcement about creating a second show per week that will be a fun social show to create a game show. Until next time, I hope to see you back here on the Southern Belle channel, Mondays at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. May God bless you all, and good night.